You have 5 seconds to ruin the entire wedding. What will you do? In the middle of the ceremony, stand up, interrupt the officiant, and publicly propose to someone else. Preacher, I'ma let you finish, but I gotta propose to the bride myself cause she got a fine ass and I'm better hung than the groom, which he can attest since I reamed his ass good last night. If I had 10. Then we bring in his mama who I did right after without cleaning up. To make it memorable. At a reception. My wife and I were on the dance floor and I really had to fart. I figured I'd do it while the music was loud. I stood back a little from her and let it rip the very second the DJ lost power. Everyone looked our way and saw me looking at my wife. They looked at my wife. She ran off in a huff. Then I still had bad gas and was looking for a place to let it rip. The hall had some bay doors to a balcony. So I backed my ass out the doors and blasted ass. I turned around to close the doors and saw the bride and groom were out there having an alone moment that I just farted on. Bribe the organist with cash to play the Phantom of the Opera theme as the bride comes down the aisle. We had a playlist glitch at our wedding. My wife's processional was supposed to be Tale as Old as Time from Beauty and the Beast. And it did start out with that. But about 30 seconds in, it track skipped to Back in Black. When they say you may now kiss the bride, they never specified who may kiss the bride. Or the specific bride. LPT. If someone ever says that to you, don't run off to another wedding and kiss another bride. Learned that the hard way. Yell to the groom after I slept with you? This is what you do to me. And punch the bride. Edit. My first award. Thank you. Pastry chef here. I used to do a lot of wedding cakes. And would have to move them to wherever the couple wanted it displayed. I always had a fantasy. If I ever decided to quit, walk out, to purposely drop the cake in front of the wedding party and act like it was an accident. And just burst out in tears and storm out. Never to be seen again. So to answer your question, destroy the cake. Or tea on it or something if that's your style. I actually know someone this happened to. Big Italian wedding. The parents shelled out $100 K total. This giant wedding cake was $8,000. The venue was supposed to put it on a rolling cart table for display cutting. Venue put it on a static table for display and cutting. As they were lifting the cake onto a rolling cart to take it back to the kitchen for cutting. Splat cake all over the dance floor. No dessert for dinner. She sued the venue and won back the price of the cake and cake cutting fee, which they still charged her, and the addition dessert costs of $10 head because they splatter the cake. Their venue contract started specifically that they would put it on a rolling cart table for display to prevent accidents, which is the only reason she won. I work in a wedding venue and we always had one cake guy that refused to load in through the vendor's door. There were protests happening outside and someone ran up and socked his cake. A perfect punched out hole in the center. I helped him cover it, but not without a well if you would have loaded in through the right door line. Yell WH Ray when the bride walks down the aisle. My mum did something similar at my brother's wedding. She stood up at the "Does anyone know a reason why they can't be wed" part and shouted, "They can't get married because the bride is a whore." You could have heard a pin drop before the bride burst into tears and my mum screamed as my dad dragged her from the room. It was certainly memorable. Additional. Sorry to have kept you all waiting. Yes. My brother and his wife did get married and they are still married but have not spoken to my mum since that day. She has bipolar and can be very unpredictable on occasion. It was something my brother and I got used to as children. I moved away very quickly as she and I were never close, but she doted on my brother. When he started seeing his wife, mum wasn't happy about losing her son and did not want them to get married. She did not want to go to the wedding but was persuaded to go by my dad. I was very proud to be his sister that day as he did not let mum spoil the day for his wife. Thank the husband for letting me borrow his bride-to-be last night. Destroy the ring. Eat the plastic dolls on top of the cake. I thought they were made out of marzipan. Take off my pants and start doing the helicopter. Furiously nunchuck your DCK at the bride while yelling peanut butter jelly time. Asterisk. Quietly stand up and stand next to the bride as she walks up to the altar. Straight face and everything. And refuse to sit down for the entire ceremony. If nothing else, it'll make everyone question who's getting married to who. Edit. Whoa. My first award. Thanks. Play the Reigns of Castamere. That way everyone there remembers how great early GOT was and how much the last season sucked, and now everyone is in a sour mood. I do that Naruto finger jab thing to the bride's butt, sending her flying into the cake. 1000 years of death. Double quote. Kakashi's proctology. Yell. Bro. Isn't she the one you said was a dears? Double quote. Edit. Why the FCK is this so popular? At a social event one of my relatives said that a girl that walked by was completely vacuous. You guessed it, he married her less than a year later. Show up wearing a large, elaborate wedding dress. Propose to the best man. Cry hard when I don't get an immediate yes so my makeup runs. Spit on the bride. Grab and kiss the groom. And run away screaming about how flat the earth is. For the visuals. I am a 36-year-old man. This is oddly specific. Either you've been thinking about this for a while, or you watched a specific, delightfully disastrous wedding actually unfold. Claim the bride is pregnant with your child. You are pregnant with the groom's child. And have 4 seconds left to spare. I Ross take the Rachel. I told my husband I'd give him $100 to say take the Rachel at our wedding last summer since my name is the same as the one Ross didn't say. He chickened out. I'm still low-key disappointed. In the middle of the best man speech. Loudly scream I FK'd the groom last night. Shit. Sorry everyone. I just got my COVID test back. I tested positive. Double quote. After coughing violently through the entire ceremony. Make sure you get a notification alert on your phone that everyone hears during a pause, ring on finger part. Maybe? Comma in the ceremony. I like it. I like it a lot. Destroy the paperwork. It's not official without it. Wedding basically didn't happen. I accidentally did this to myself. Took me years to figure out I wasn't technically married. 10/10 would forget to file those papers again. Bring a spoiled child to it. Bonus points if you are the spoiled child and over 20 years old. Confess my hidden love for the bride and threaten to kill myself if she doesn't leave with me. Go to talk a little faster. Just yell I love you. And if you f-king marry him, I'm gonna kill myself. Pee on the cake. If a cake is ruined I wouldn't say that's gonna be a sticking point of a ruined wedding in years to come. Let's amp it up. Peeing on the bride as she walks down the aisle. That has some lasting ruination power. I knew a guy that went to a wedding where that happened. He was excited to go as it was a destination wedding down in the Florida Keys. When he got back we asked how it went. And he said that it didn't. When it came time for the groom to say his vows he just froze. And then said I can't do this before walking out. The officiant and the groom's father ran after him while everyone just sort of looked at each other and the bride stood alone at the altar crying. A few minutes later the father of the groom came back and told everyone that the wedding was off. Apparently the groom had run off and eloped with another woman months before. And hadn't known how to tell his fiancée that he was already married to someone else. It might not be a drone strike or a murder like some of the other people have suggested for ruining a wedding in this thread. But I've thought about that story a lot over the years. So much worse than calling off a wedding ahead of time. Bring a crying baby. They said 5 seconds, not ruin it instantaneously but last 30-60 minutes. Bring a dozen rabid ferrets and let them loose after throwing food near the bride and groom. Stand on a chair and fass a plant into the cake. Effectively destroying the cake. I did that but my sister was smart and had a backup cake because she knew I'd do some stupid shit like that. Anything can be ruined with a strategically placed poop. Ceremony. Drop one on the altar. Reception. Curl one out on the head table. Honeymoon suite. Have you ever had the surprise of a man jumping naked from a cupboard and defecating on the new bed linens? Trust me, Nobody is getting laid after that. Drunkenly say how his underwear looks way better than the suit. Wink at the groom. Say, "I'll see you later, tiger," and go to the bathroom. Send in my very pregnant niece to glare at the groom. Point at her belly and say, "You see this? Derek? This is our son. How can you be marrying this Ray when our son is due in 3 weeks?" Double quote. Note, I do have a niece who is due to give birth in 3 weeks. But she is happily married to the child's father. Close bracket. You can ruin any social situation by whipping out your wiener and screaming the N-word until someone forcibly removes you. Remember, you've spent a lifetime earning the reputation you currently have. And you could flush it all down the drain in 5 seconds if you wanted to. Yell, "Aren't you the priest who raped my little brother, you rapist?" Double quote. Or swan dive into the cake yelling "swan dive." Double quote. Or bring 10 perfume bottles and pour them out in various places. Mix bleach and ammonia and kill everybody. There's so many things you could do. I'd yell, "The prophecy commences. The Antichrist's future parents are being wed." Double quote. True story. I attended a cousin's wedding about 10 years ago. He is originally from London, now living in the States. His London crew are really good guys and they like to party a lot. Anyway, his best man gave a speech that I will never forget. When he got up to speak, everyone in the room could easily tell that he was shitty-faced. Just fully shitty-faced loaded. About 3 minutes into it, he made a crack about how the groom had the childhood nickname of Butthead James. He proceeded to say, "And I have this to prove it." He proceeded to turn around and drop his pants. For a moment, we all saw his white boxers, which is printed on it the groom's face across his ass. However, because he was shitty-faced, he pulled it all down, unknowingly, and did a pretty solid 10 seconds of self-ass slapping. Luckily, before he turned around, the groom shot to his feet and pulled the boxer's pants up. Needless to say, it certainly took the wedding in a very weird place. Yell to the groom, "It's over, Anakin. I have the high ground now," as you jump from a ledge onto the priest and piss your pants. So then the groom starts laughing and then the bride gets pissed and runs off. Spill red wine or a colored drink on the wedding dress. Source. Used to be a wedding planner. Send my super kick-ass bad guy team to shoot up the wedding but leave the bride in a coma, so in years she will hunt down every assassin there on the day. I have a buddy that is pretty good at ruining weddings. I don't know if he has a subconscious beef with the idea of marriage since he is single or what. I've been to 2 weddings with him and heard the stories of 2 more. First one, he got so drunk the groomsmen had to carry him out of the reception. The second one, he was best man and I fed him water the whole time, so it was a good non-ruined wedding. The third one I heard about from his on-again off-again girlfriend. She went as his date and was talking to one of the groomsmen and his wife. My buddy thought he was making a move and got in a fist fight. She told me about how the bride's family chased him out of the wedding. She claims he wasn't even that drunk. The last one, a mutual friend, said he was dancing with a bridesmaid and started crying when they played Rihanna's Unfaithful. I feel like that one is more on the DJ than my buddy though. Either way, he took an emotional, very public exit. Like I said, he is a work in progress. Good guy, just got to get a few things sorted out. Before you take him down a peg for being a train wreck, he is a recent veteran and not even the worst one I talk to regularly. Come out as trans. I don't imagine it would upset any of the guests. But it would take attention away from the newlyweds' special day. And that's insult enough. It's the same reason you don't plan 2 weddings on the same day. If you do want to ruin a wedding, the goal isn't to be as outrageous as possible, but to be as memorable as possible. If you can link the wedding and yourself in everyone else's mind, the wedding is yours. So don't come out of the closet at a wedding. Folks. He slept with my daughter and pointed at the groom with my child hiding behind me. My dad has a story about this. He and one of his friends got invited to that friend's ex-girlfriend's wedding. They were both in college at the time and thought they might as well. They spent the morning of the wedding drinking at a nearby bar and ended up sneaking in after the ceremony started. After the bride and groom were officially wedded, the bride's mom was frantically walking back and forth by her seat. And then she saw my dad's friend. She immediately came over, hugged him tight, and yelled, "Oh, my dad's friend. I wish it was you." They left right after that and had a lot more drinks at that bar. Vomit down the front of the bride's dress. Make sure you've eaten lots of cherry strawberry raspberry jello beforehand. Or a fair bit of red wine. Tell everyone I would like to make a toast to the bride and groom and proceed to urinate in a champagne glass. Which yes would ruin the wedding. But I bet a few men would be impressed and ask for my. When the officiator says speak now or forever hold your peace, I'd stand up, cry, and scream at either the bride or the groom saying, "Why are you marrying them when you said you loved me?" Boom. Wedding cancelled. Slap the groom in the face and tell him he is pathetic for leaving his impregnated girlfriend and then sob and scream. 1. Show up in boots. 2. Be the last one to show. 3. Take his glass of champagne. 4. Toast the bride. Say, "Honey, we may be through, but you'll never hear me complain." Double quote. Totally run up to the groom when holding the ring with a grade 3 science project volcano while screaming, "Cast it into the fire. Destroy it. Isilda." Double quote. Say, "Bomb in the cake and run away." I'm a wedding photographer and I read this story in a Facebook group with colleagues. Before starting the dinner, the groom stood up to say something, but he just told all the guests in the room to turn around the placemats on the tables. On the backside of the mats was a photo of his new wife with her affair. I don't know how the party ended,